Hey guys, welcome back to the Fool Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. If you like this video, please hit the like. If you really like it, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all those subscribers that I have. Late this afternoon, early evening, Twitter world, Hunter Dickinson announced that he was going to come back to Michigan. And I just wanted to give you my foolish thoughts, my foolish reactions to that announcement. This is just outstanding for me, in my mind, that Michigan is getting Hunter Dickinson. He is like on the cusp of an All-American player coming back, right? We all know his deficiencies on the NBA potential, right? So there was wide speculation that he would not be drafted. He was not been on any draft boards I've seen in the first two rounds. And so he has decided to come back. And what is Michigan getting of him coming back? He shoots this past year 61% on field goals, almost 19, 18.6 points per game, almost 9 rebounds per game, 8.6 rebounds per game, 1.5 blocks per game. Michigan gets that back, and probably that's going to, I guess I wonder if you really think it's going to increase or if the numbers will be about the same, because Michigan really shot poorly from outside, so they had to ride Hunter Dickinson quite a bit offensively to get, victories. Michigan really needs shooting, and if they can get some by this incoming freshman crowd like Jet Howard, or if they can go portal and get Terrence Shannon Jr., maybe they can get some better shooting, and his stats might actually kind of drop down a little bit, but he might actually be playing better and be on a better team. That's to be, in the future find out. But when you're getting back almost 19 points, 9 rebounds a game, you have to be really happy to get that back. And frankly, again, it just gets back to Hunter Dickinson, his defensive deficiencies, his lack of mobility will not transfer over to the NBA where you have your big shooting three-pointers all the time. He really he struggled with that this year. Now, he might work on it and increase some, skills with that, some shiftiness. Maybe he had some lingering injury that we didn't know about, perhaps. Maybe he could, work on his offense and improve his defense just enough and become like a Luka Garza out of Iowa, who was awesome on the offense and got just enough defense and got drafted in the second round, right? Maybe Hunter Dickinson can do that. We'll see. What I really think plays a big part in this is that Hunter Dickinson can take advantage of the NIL and now in college sports. He already has several deals out with partners where he's getting money. And honestly, if you can get paid money legally now, right, without fear of the NCAA coming down and crushing you years after, we know how quick the NCAA is. But anyways, if you can get your money and enjoy the college life, be the big man on campus, right? He's the face of Michigan basketball. Coming back for his junior year, he's got the moxie, the swagger. He annoys other teams. He annoys other teams' fan bases quite a bit. He's the guy that you despise on the other team, and he's on my team, so I love him. Now, you get that back, and you can be the big man on campus, or you could, in theory, I'm just assuming he's getting, with all his NIL deals, about the similar amount of money. Obviously, I don't know that for sure, but if he can get in the same ballpark, stay on campus, be big man on campus, or go undrafted, go to the D League where, okay, at least it's pro, right? Or you go over to Europe and you're probably never going to be heard of from again. That's just the truth in professional sports. So many players go different routes and so few of them make it to name recognition level, right? And so Hunter Dickinson, for whatever reasons, he knows them the best, decided it's in his best interest to come back to Michigan and play in Ann Arbor for another year. And that just makes me so happy because that was one of the big question marks going into this offseason. Now, tonight is the cutoff day, right? You have to declare if you're going to go into the NBA draft consideration by like midnight tonight. I don't know if that's midnight Eastern or midnight Pacific, whatever. So they had to make their decision today, and Hunter Dickinson said he's coming back. Michigan's still waiting to hear from Diabate and Houston. And I would expect both of those guys to go NBA route where they can pull their names out at a later date, right? Hunter Dickinson did this last year. He went and explored his options, did like some scouting stuff with the NBA. They told him what to work on, and he came back, right? I expect they'll do the same thing with Diabate in Houston. The only difference here is that I do not think Houston has proven enough that he's anywhere near being a pro prospect right now, but it's on potential. I could see Diabate going, but we'll see how that all goes here, because, obviously they might say, boom, we're going to come back. That would be interesting for sure. If I was going to make a pick, I would say that Houston comes back and Diabate goes. And then that opens up a spot for Terrence Shannon Jr., the Texas Tech portal guy, came to Michigan this past week. Seemed to really like it. His AAU coach, I think it was, said congratulations on coming to Michigan, and that tweet was quickly deleted and such like that. So I think that's in the cards for Michigan to get Terrence Shannon Jr. Now, all this is all speculation, obviously. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, we only have about 5 hours till potential cutoff time for Diabate and Houston to make their announcements. And as I understand it, the NIL isn't really going to help them. They're both foreign players. Diabate French, Houston Canadian. And Michigan, I don't think, is going to lean over or do extraordinary things to get them or their families money. I know it's been on some Michigan blogs and such where Kentucky has done that for a player, but I don't see Michigan doing anything crazy to get people money. That's just like, beneath such a mighty institution. Some silliness like that. So I don't think NIL is going to be much of a factor for Houston or Diabate. So that's where they're going to be a little bit of a X mark. So just to circle all the way back, Hunter Dickinson is coming back. Like, yes! That's like the biggest one. Michigan really needed him back. You have experience. He knows how to play in the offense. And again, I think this really points to where Juwan Howard is really trying to follow the mold of Villanova, right? Jay Wright, who just retired. But you want to have those players that are good to great college players, but are not going to be your one-and-done types, right? Villanova has that core of guys who are good, and they just stay and stay and stay. And they won't get drafted, right? They're not pro players. But they stay and they play really good basketball. They learn the system, and Jay Wright gets to Final Fours. I know some of their players do get drafted. DiVincenzo, right? And I think Brunson out in, I can't remember where Brunson is. He's in Dallas or Salt Lake City. I can't remember which one, Utah. But, so they can get some players drafted, but most of them are going to stay 3 years, 2 to 3 years. Maybe they'll go to the pros, but they stay in the system, and that's what you have with Hunter Dickinson now. Stay with the system, so you have the consistency. You have your best player back. I think, and then you sprinkle in these players that are going to play 2, 3, 4 years in your program, and you sprinkle in your one and dones here and there. Like maybe Jet Howard's going to be a one and done. I don't know about Terrence Reed or whatever. Terrace Reed, I think it is. And so it's like, maybe those guys will have a good year. Maybe they'll go pro after 1 year. But you can't develop your program on one and dones. You have to have a core. And I think Howard is really getting that set up with this core. And Hunter Dickinson coming back is a huge piece to that core. So, those are my foolish thoughts. If you have any thoughts, please put them in the box below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. Thanks for watching, and until I see you guys next time, as always, go blue!